Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Jeremy Abramson. Jeremy Abramson is known as the high energy coach who helps top level executives and entrepreneurs unleash their fullest potential. He is recognized around the world for his expertise in mindful movement, integrative nutrition, and brain chemistry. Before he was making a huge impact in health and wellness, Jeremy overcame 9 nights of sleeping in his Honda CRV while only having $400 to his name. After overcoming such obstacles, Jeremy committed to helping others do the same. Through his unique movement and mindset protocols, Abramson has received some of the most coveted certifications in the industry and studied along elite professionals like Wim Hof, Aubrey Marcus, Mike Finch, Steve Kotler, Joe Dispenza, and Sean T. Jeremy believes that movement and gratitude are the ultimate cheat codes to this video game called life. His show, The Energy Exchange Podcast, features guests from around the world and across countless spectrums, from doctors and executives to professional athletes and health advocates. He holds space weekly at a local public school dubbed Boys School, which brings mindful principles and forward thinking to youth in an effort to improve their lives and the lives of those around them. Abramson travels the world optimizing the health and happiness of athletes, government officials, and high-level CEOs. He customized coaching program Thrive. His customized coaching program Thrive is designed to elevate the energy levels, heart, health, and brain chemistry of his high-performing clients. Thrive stands for thoughts, habits, relationships, intention, vitality, and enthusiasm. During the COVID-19 crisis, Jeremy has been called to serve at the highest level. He has been facilitating virtual workshops, empowering teams with simple stand-up to sitting strategies to optimize their work at home experience. He has been brought in by companies such as WeWork, Toto, Neve, and Kaiser Permanente for his energy and expertise. Jeremy's vision for 2020 is to impact 20 million lives through movement, gratitude, and joy. He is excited to co-create some magic with you. Today we talk about guarding your heart and your mind from things that suck your energy, being a magnet for what you want, getting clear on your core values so you can attract what you want in your life. And if you know what you want, it's a lot easier to find it. Like attracts like. Evaluating who and what you're spending your time on or with, and how when you begin to grow, some relationships may not grow with you. They may dissolve. How to free yourself from toxic and limited beliefs, and how the relationship with yourself, first and foremost, is your most important relationship that affects all of your other relationships. We talked about that and so much more, you guys. This episode was freaking lit. It will light you up today. It was so good. You're going to want to put it on a repeat and listen to it over and over. So many valuable nuggets today. All right, let's tune in. I am so excited, you guys, today to welcome Jeremy Abramson to the show. Welcome.
Linda, thank you so much for having me. And I am really excited to connect with you and really connect with your community as well.
Well, you guys, this guy really impressed me with his energy. And then I found out your podcast was the Energy Exchange, and then I was hooked. I was sold. I was like, I'm all about energy, because one thing that we can't waste, like we don't want to waste time, but like if you waste your energy, you've wasted everything. So I just want to just like dive into your story today and tell everybody kind of where you're coming from so they can get to know you before we give them the dope today.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. And I think that's so important. Before I get a little bit into my story, I think it's so important what you said about energy. And I think especially, right now, it's such a great time to take inventory of how we're spending our energy and who we're spending our energy with. Because I found out, in my human experience that oftentimes we're letting other people drain our battery, and we're spending time with people that don't necessarily serve us. So, just a call to action for everyone listening right now is really take inventory of who you're spending your time with. And I call them energy vampires. And we all have them in our life. And unfortunately, sometimes it's the people closest to us, right? It could be our parents, it could be our significant other, it could be our sibling. So it's really important right now to take inventory and see how you're spending that energy. So, Linda, yeah, let's, rather than giving you like the full story, because I know we're a little short on time, I'm just going to take you back to 6 years ago. I was 24 years old, living back home in the Bay Area, and I had recently graduated college at the University of Oregon, and I was working my dream job at the time, or so I thought. I was working my dream job with the dream girl that I met at synagogue, and and in a span of 48 hours, I got fired from my job, and I found out that same girl from synagogue was cheating on me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and what was crazy is when I look back at it, like at age 24, that was really the first big adversity that I was forced to face. And it was a couple months after that that I actually packed up my Honda CRV and moved to Miami. I figured, I visited like right after I had gotten fired and that situation happened. Um, and it really resonated with me, the energy, the weather, the diversity and culture. And it's so crazy because literally like July 2014, I remember calling my dad as I'm walking on the beach on 47th and Collins here in Miami. And I'm like, Dad, this place is incredible. I'm moving here. And I didn't have a plan, didn't really have any friends in Miami. And then literally 6 years later, I'm living at this beautiful space overlooking that same block of the beach that I was walking on 6 years ago. So I know you're all about creating and manifesting and really bringing these things into existence. And I just want to, encourage everyone listening that, if you can do it, Linda, and I can do it, everyone here listening and joining us today has that power to create as well. So um, that's how I got to Miami Beach. And yeah, we'll continue the conversation before I dive deeper.
Oh no, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So wouldn't that start with who we surround ourselves with? Like, and what, are you actually doing? Like, I had a guest on recently that talked about having a list of soul suck and soul
Mm,
fuel. And what is your soul fuel, that lights you up inside, that you're excited about? Like your voice like changed when you talked about living in Miami and your spirit lights up, or that thing that you're just feeling really heavy and you just like it's an obligation or it drains you,
mm,
like soul suck. And
right.
writing these lists, how important do you think that is to being able to live your dream life, to guarding your heart and your mind from things that suck your energy?
For sure. I think that's so important to really again evaluate how you're spending your time, like evaluate your relationships, evaluate, most importantly, and I know you're big on this, is the relationship with yourself. And once you really get clear on your core values, once you get clear on what's important to you, what belief systems that you hold near and dear to you, and the things that you want to embody as an individual, then you can really get clear on who you want to bring into your life, and you'll actually start being a magnet for those things. And you know, they say misery loves company, and it's the same thing with mediocrity. mediocrity loves company. So a lot of times if we're hanging out with people who are very stuck in their limited context, and they're stuck being safe, and they're stuck being very complacent, whether it's with their work and relationships, naturally you're going to embody that. And what's important to know is that as you elevate yourself and you continue to expand and grow, those relationships, some of them might, I don't want to say disappear, but they might dissolve a little bit. You might have to, in fact, you for sure will have to elevate your level of being, and also your expectations for others, meaning, holding yourself to a higher standard. And it all starts with yourself, right? Once you have that level of respect for yourself, once you have that level of love for yourself, then you'll understand that that's all you deserve, is the best, only the soul fulfilling things. And you'll understand that those things that suck the life out of you don't deserve a place in your life, and that you're above that, and you're better than that, and you deserve better.
And I just think of it as like a light bulb. Are you plugging your light bulb into a socket that makes you light up? Or
Mm.
is it like you're plugging yourself into like something that's just dimming your light all the time? And I just really believe we were made to shine and thrive. And I know you are all about thriving. So tell us more
Mhm.
about what is thrive?
I love that. That was like one of the smoothest segues I've ever heard. That was unbelievable. I can tell you've been doing this for a while.
Thank you.
Seriously, that was impressive. Um, so yeah, for me, when I talk about my experience 6 years ago, and I just kind of look back at that journey, and there's a period for 9 nights where I was sleeping in my Honda CRV, and all I was eating was PB&J sandwiches, and I had $400 in my bank account, and that was 5 years ago. And I think a lot of times we get stuck with instant gratification, rather than this idea that if we take actionable steps and make progress every day, that's going to manifest into massive transformation down the road. So for me, that's what my coaching is all about. Through my different teachers and practitioners that I've been lucky enough to learn from, I've realized that health and wellness is so much more than just one thing. you know Fitness is extremely important, nutrition is extremely important, sleep is extremely important, but there's also so many other things. And for me, I wanted to create something that was all encompassing, that would really uh, attract high level committed individuals to my coaching, because that's what I give. I give my 100% energy, attention, and customization to each person that I work with. So Thrive is an acronym. And I really believe that these 6 components will help you and everyone listening take their life to the next level. And T is thoughts. And that's where it all starts, right? We have 60,000 of them every day. And 90% of the thoughts we have today are the same exact things that we thought yesterday. So we're perpetually creating the same future based on our past. So if we can become more conscious and aware of these thoughts, then we have the ability to take ownership of them, and really change our reality, because our thoughts manifest into our feelings and emotions, and those feelings and emotions lead to our behaviors, and those behaviors lead
Thoughts
to,
become things. Yeah.
exactly, in our H, right, is habits. Our H is habits. So I'm all about empowering people with stacking small, simple habits to really create that momentum that they need in their life. And the great thing about that is, when you start to stack habits, you cultivate confidence, and you also release the neurotransmitter dopamine every single time that you accomplish a small task. That can be something like making your bed, or calling a loved one that you've been meaning to talk to. It doesn't have to be anything major, but if we can really get in the habit of stacking these habits, it's going to lead into an abundant life. And then R is relationships. And I love, Linda, that you're so big on focusing first and foremost on the relationship with yourself. And, you know, every relationship we have is a reflection of the relationship with ourselves. And if we have these self-limiting beliefs or these toxic thoughts about ourselves, you better believe that's going to reflect in every other relationship in our life. And I is for intention, living every part of your life with as much intention as possible. That means starting your morning with intention. What do I want to create today? But also, setting intention before you and I speak. Like,
Right.
I want to be present. I want to make sure that I am adding value in the limited time that we're spending together. I want to make sure that you feel heard as well, even though you're hosting. And, if we add more intention to our everyday activities, like eating, like breathing, like showering, like spending time with our friends and family, I think we're going to have so much more meaning out of this human experience. And then finally, or two more. So V is vitality. And like you said, from the get-go, life is all about energy. And I'm a huge believer in that. So through the customized movement programs and mindset work and nutrition that we implement in the program, that's going to really feed your vitality and energy levels. Because if you want to create big things in this world, you need good, consistent energy to get you through that, right? And then finally, E is for enthusiasm. And you and I, like, when I listen to you, I'm like, oh my God, like I hear so much of myself in you, because we're speaking about things that we're passionate about, and we're living in purpose and service. So, really, really embodying that enthusiastic being, and knowing that by doing that, we're going to attract other enthusiastic people into our life, whether that's with a partner, our colleague, employees. I work with a lot of executives and entrepreneurs who have teams underneath them. So they need to make sure that they're embodying all of these qualities if they want to attract good people into their team, their business, their life. So again, real quick: T, thoughts; H, habits; R, relationships; I, intention; V, vitality; and E, enthusiasm. Thrive.
Yeah, I love it. I have to say, I really felt in such alignment with you when I was looking through your Instagram, because I had just done my Let It Rip podcast at the Sisterhood of Sweat this morning. And I thought, let me see who this guy is. I'm going to look him up, look at what he does. And then I was like, oh, you did the thing with the 20 where you spit on it, you crumple it up the whole bit. And I had just, in my podcast, I had just been talking about, though I had been like physically abused by my first husband, and kicked and trampled on, that I realized, I flipped that switch and realized that didn't mean that my worth was diminished. I flipped that switch and realized that I was worthy of so much more than what I was tolerating in my life. And I just think if we can all learn to reframe things and flip that switch and get good mindset habits. You were talking about limited beliefs earlier, and I was just really thinking about how the limited beliefs are what keep you stuck. Can you tell people how they can recognize when they are having a limited belief?
Yeah, so big, so important. And I just want to acknowledge you, for being so vulnerable and sharing that experience with your first husband. And, for the women listening right now, I think it's so important what Linda said. Like, understand that you are divine and you are a queen, and that's what you deserve. You deserve the best. And again, chances are, if in your life right now you're tolerating or accepting or allowing any sort of abuse, whether that's physical or verbal, chances are there needs to be something fixed with you. Like, you need to address yourself, because if you're allowing someone to treat you like that, right, then your level of respect for yourself is diminished. And I really want to encourage all the women out there to understand, like, you do deserve the best, and there's zero tolerance for any sort of abuse in any capacity. So I appreciate you sharing that, Linda. And in regards to limiting beliefs, I think a couple of the biggest limiting beliefs that I notice, and I'd love to get your feedback on this as well, is the fear of judgment. So many people care about what everyone thinks, and
Oh
like,
yeah, it's huge.
whether yeah, whether that be like strangers like in the street, or your family members, or your colleagues, or your peers, or other people on social media. And what happens is, we all have, like you mentioned, this ability to create. And that's why we're here, right? We have things that we're passionate about. We all have a voice that needs to be heard, but oftentimes we dim our own light, and we silence ourselves because we're afraid that Tommy 627, without even a profile picture, is going to criticize us, and that's somehow going to diminish our value and worth. So um that's a big one, is the fear of judgment. And that's why in a lot of my videos I like to be out in public and do things, because for me, my message there is like empowering people. Listen, like, this is what I love to do, and hopefully it empowers you, inspires you to like not care so much about what everyone thinks, because if you're living life like that, you're going to be paralyzed. You're never going to do or create anything that you really desire. And then also, the fear of failure, right? Like,
Right,
we
right, right.
we
What if I fail instead of what if I succeed?
yeah, and we all fear, like, we all fear again, and they go hand in hand, because people are going to judge you if you fail. But it really all goes back, Linda, to like your own belief system, your own core values. And when you're really confident and comfortable with yourself, then those things, the opinions of others, the judgments of others, the possibility of not being successful, they'll start to dissipate and dissolve. So what I encourage people, because you did ask, like, what piece of advice could I give, it really all goes back to thoughts. Thoughts are the first thing, and that trickles into your feelings and emotions. So understand that everything you do in life is chasing an emotion. You eat a certain food because it makes you feel a certain way, right? You eat that hot lava cake because in that moment, it's going to satisfy you. And then most likely what happens is people feel guilty. Oh my God, I cheated. Oh my God, I can't believe I ate that. And then they sabotage themselves. At least enjoy the damn hot lava cake, right? And I think this perpetually happens, is like, is we do something, and then we get paralyzed by maybe one mistake we made, and we live in the past. Understand that, like, we're all
That
gonna
is so paralyzing if you're like holding on to the past of like what you used to be or who you used to be, and you're holding on to that. It's so impossible if you're holding on to scars and wounds and all that to really move forward.
exactly. And a book that I actually just finished recently that I definitely recommend to your audience is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Have you read it?
No, but it sounds good.
Yes. Have you read The Four Agreements?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the same author, and it's really like, you'll read it in less than a week because you won't want to put it down. But it talks about that emotional poison, and forgiveness is so important, right? Like, forgiveness, mostly of yourself. Forgiveness, like, of yourself for whatever you did or whatever you let happen. Understanding that you're human, and being authentic is so much better than being perfect. And and when you can get through that level of forgiveness, and then actually be grateful, if you get into a place where you're actually grateful that that thing or situation happened. Like, I'm super grateful that girl cheated on me. Like, I'm super
Right.
grateful I got fired from that job. Like, honestly, I think
Yeah,
about that all the time. Like, what would
exactly.
I have been doing if neither one of those events happened? And it's so easy to, like, in retrospect in 2020, like, to, in hindsight, to have that 2020, oh yeah, like it happened for me. But actually, like, getting there in the present moment and like, oh my God, like this seems really sucky and shitty right now, but somehow I know this is going to be a valuable learning experience. Um, yeah. So I think forgiveness for each person, and then really going in on like your personal practice. Like, what are those things that fill you up and serve you and energize you? And do more of those things. I think all of this that we're talking about today is like really a reflection of how we perceive ourselves, and understand that like 95% of your thoughts are in your subconscious mind. You're not even aware of them. And most of the stories you've been telling yourself aren't even true. But we've somehow convinced ourselves that these narratives, right, are a reality. And once we can kind of understand and take a back seat and see things from a different perspective, then we really have the ability to take ownership and make massive or not massive changes. Um, so yeah, I really think, that's why I'm grateful that you do what you do, because you're giving these women like a platform and a space to like feel heard and to feel safe. And that's really powerful, and that's really necessary right now. So I appreciate you doing that. And for anyone listening too, I'm always happy to talk if there is something that's bogging you down, or you're feeling stuck in some capacity. I'm always happy to have that conversation as well.
Well, I love that. And I love what you said, because I think that, some of the worst things that have ever happened to me in my life, I can look back and connect the dots that they were the best things that ever happened to me. And, it was just probably today or yesterday, I was just thanking God for all the good and all the bad that's happened to
Mm,
me, because it has brought me to where I am currently right now. And I can really look back and see how it was all a path, and it all connected to bring me to this very moment today, where I'm actually using my voice, talking with you, and we're connecting and we're aligned, and all of our listeners are going to get the gold nuggets that we're dropping today. And so I just think, like, when you have a moment, like I had this awful day right before my grand opening. I mean, like, I kid you not, you can't make this stuff up. So many things went wrong that it
mm.
was almost funny. I'm not going to tell the
When
whole
was this?
story.
When was the grand opening?
My grand opening was last year. I rebranded and opened in my dream space, and so I just remember this. So, because I was going to speak for the first time, really, at my grand opening. And I remember when all this crazy stuff that I couldn't even make up went wrong in a day. And
Mm,
I thought, oh, I just better go home now, because this is like not safe for me to be out. And I remember thinking, wow, I must be going to really slay it when I give my speech at the grand opening, because it was just that feeling like, wow, all this is happening because I'm going to be doing something like amazing. and
mm.
and that's exactly what happened. People were like touched and crying in the audience. And I had been basically feeling called to speak, and I was hiding behind, like, I
Mm,
was not doing it. I was trying to do everything but but speak, call this person to come, this person to come.
mm. And I think that that's powerful, and I can't wait for you to dive deeper into that story on my podcast. Now I definitely have some good ammo for you. Um, eh, that is the universe testing you, right? Like whenever you're doing something big, like I'm in the process of doing a couple big things, and I've been facing so much resistance in the process, and I know that I just need to keep leaning in stronger than ever, because whenever you want to do something or create something that is scary, like your dream should scare you, right? And oftentimes people let their dreams dissolve and they just again settle for that mediocre existence, and that's really what we want to help people get out of. And if you're listening right now, chances are you already are out of that because you're spending your time in a really effective way, uh, listening to Linda and myself. um there's something that you said, Linda, that I really wanted to touch on. Oh yeah, the fact that you said like you always wanted to pass the mic to someone else or maybe not be in the spotlight. I think it's really common what I've observed with, my mom and a lot of women like motherly figures is that they're so focused on providing and giving to others that oftentimes they're giving from an empty cup. And that speaks to like the divine feminine, like always wanting to provide and be compassionate and kind, and make sure everyone's taken care of. But a lot of times that's at the expense of you. And and it's again one of those things, like making sure that you're filling up your cup fully so it's overflowing and you're able to give from such a more abundant place. And I think that will be a really powerful takeaway if people uh, can implement just maybe one thing. Maybe it's waking up a little earlier, hydrating, getting a little sunshine on your face, stretching, doing some reading, whatever it is in the morning that's going to get your soul to sing and your vibration high.
And I think I knew that I was going to lay myself open and be very vulnerable, because what I had to say was not going to be your typical, let's do yoga, exercise, and eat our greens. And I was avoiding that, but it was powerful. And now I'm so glad I did it. It opened up a whole new world for me that I was supposed to be, or, that I feel called to step into. And I think I was just afraid.
Yeah. And it's so funny that like yeah, and I'm so honestly, Linda, I'm so grateful that like you took that leap of faith and you leaned into that resistance, because like look at what you're creating now. And and honestly, I really truly believe that everyone walking this planet has a unique gift to share with the world. And if we can, if again, get over some of these thoughts, become more conscious and aware of them, and overcome some of these self-limiting beliefs that we discussed earlier, then we can start to recognize our own power. And a lot of times, we fear how powerful we are, because
Right. Oh my gosh, for sure. I think I was like, I feared that. Some lady told me, she's like, you're like this person that's hiding under a blanket that has a beautiful body, but she's told me, like, when I did the big talk, she's like, you have so much power, but you're like
mm,
hiding it. And I think I had that fear of success, like you were talking, like that fear of leaving others behind if I was to really own my power.
yeah. So what would you say, like, in that moment, because a majority of your life, right, like you really weren't, like you said, like using your voice in a powerful way like you were capable of. What was it in the end that was able to get you over that edge and really step up there, grab the mic and speak, and just speak from your heart? What was it? Because I think that's going to really be valuable for everyone listening.
It was, I had people canceling that were supposed to come and speak, and they weren't showing up. And I think I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, and something about them not showing up made me realize it was time for me to show up. And
Hmm.
I remember thinking, if this is the way speakers are, I'm going to slay this field, because I'm going to show up, and I'm going to show up fully prepared, and I'm going to jump into the pool feet first. Like, I'm going to just immerse myself, because I knew it was going to be in front of neighbors, family, friends. I was just like, okay, I'm diving fully in. Here I go. And so I think it was just them not showing up made me show up in a bigger way. So it was a
Wow.
gift. It was a
Yeah,
gift.
for sure. And like you easily could have had the mindset and perspective like, oh, F these people for not showing up and just been super frazzled and scattered. But instead you used it as an opportunity to really step up and elevate. And I think that's great. I really believe like there's two ways you can live life, and like one of them is just going through the motions, that like everything is just there, nothing's really special or unique. Or you can live life like every moment is a miracle, like literally every breath, every sunset, every sunrise, every opportunity to move your body, all of these things that sometimes we take for granted, myself included. But if you think about like what it took for us to get here, what our ancestors went through and sacrificed and endured to get us here, to be able to do these incredible things for the people, Eric Wan, the founder of Zoom, and his team to create this amazing technology, to Steve Jobs, who created, all of these people who allow us to do these day-to-day things that we just think we're like we're given the right to do this. Like, yeah, it's not even a privilege, but it really is. um so I love that, and you really stepped up in that moment, and now you just continue to catapult.
Well, I think it was a whole process, and anybody that's been listening to the podcast has got to go along on the journey of all the confirmations that I really tested that sucker out, that I was supposed to start speaking. So I just think it's like part of the whole process of showing up, learning that your voice matters, and learning to use your voice because it's going to touch the other people out there that are waiting for you. Because, who you touch today, it's going to be somebody different than who I may touch with my voice. And us together, united, it's unstoppable. It's people are really going to get the meat. And I just want to know, for everyone out there today, Jeremy said he has free drugs. Like, what are these free
Oh, you
drugs that
putting
you?
me on blast. Linda, I just want to respect your time. Are we able to go
I've
for
got,
a few
I've
minutes
got a
longer?
little bit more here.
Okay, we can go till like 5 maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Because I have a question I want to ask you too.
Okay.
So yeah, it was actually funny that we were talking about like just speaking and getting on stages, because I actually was spontaneously called to get on stage. Um, in this setting, it was like 40 or 50 people, and it was like, hey, does anyone want to like share what they do? And I was like, and I immediately I was like, no, like I'm not in that mode right now. And then I was like, wait a second, like let me just try this concept out, like let me try this out. And I literally got on stage, and I literally started by saying like, my name is Jeremy and I am a drug addict. And literally everyone was like, what? And I immediately captured everyone's attention. And and then I went on to say, just, talking about free drugs. We live in this era of Western medicine that we're so quick to prescribe pills for illnesses that may or may not even be present. And oftentimes, don't get me wrong, these pills sometimes are very necessary and sometimes they save lives, but a lot of times they make the problem worse with all of the side effects, and it really leads to a lot of dependency, right, on these foreign substances. So as the son of a doctor, I was really exposed to that, and I saw like how so many doctors operated, and I saw so many people get on antidepressants and taking Adderall and all of these things that, don't get me wrong, like sometimes they're necessary, but in most cases, I don't think they are. And when I talk about free drugs, I'm simply talking about sunshine. And hopefully you're getting some in Ohio now, you
Yeah,
know,
it's sunny right now today.
beautiful. Um, and that sunshine, especially first thing in the morning, is so powerful for really setting your circadian rhythm. And also, it's a precursor. Well, it gives you all that vitamin D that you need. And it's really important, as a side note, to understand that vitamin D is like the most important thing, especially to prevent COVID-19, because what happens is COVID-19 attaches to the ACE2 receptor site of your cells. And the thing that really prevents it from entering is sufficient vitamin D levels. So if you weren't inspired before, now hopefully you are, to get 10, 15, 20 minutes of intentional sunshine. And then we talk about breathing, right? We take 25,000 breaths every day, but how many of those, Linda, do you think the average person is actually conscious and aware of? And we literally have the ability to change our state, change our mood, lower our heart rate, right? Simply with our breath. And it's such a powerful mechanism that sometimes we're not paying attention to. And then we talk about movement, moving your body. And don't get me wrong, I love the gym too, but it's really important to be able to move just with your body weight, and be able to flow and generate blood flow and release those neurotransmitters, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, get those moving, get those flowing. And then water, hydration, community, right? How I think, if I hope one thing comes out of everything these past few months, is that people understand like how much we need each other, like whether that's our friends and family, whether that's community, your group of friends, that tribe, but that community is really a staple into our well-being. And these things, again, don't cost money, right? But the benefits that you're going to reap from them are tremendous. And something simple that I would say everyone to do is, I'm sure you have a lot of people listening who are busy. Maybe they're parents, maybe they're running businesses, maybe they're doing both, right? Is be effective with your time. Maybe 15, 20 minutes in the morning, get some sunshine, move your body, and hydrate and breathe. You're literally getting all the free drugs at once. you know
Feel like a drug, right? When you get out in the sunshine and you get your endorphins up and you go for a run and you eat amazing, have a glass of water in the morning. It's just amazing how it lifts you right up.
Yeah, and I'm not about like giving people crazy tasks or actions to take. Something small, like everyone can get outside, you know, and get a little sun, and just, it doesn't matter what level of fitness or movement you're at, just start flowing, maybe shake your body, start moving, start smiling, maybe start singing, dancing, whatever it is that you're going to be consistent with. So really optimizing those free drugs, and becoming one with nature.
And how important do you think it is for us to still play?
Ooh, man, that is a great question. Yeah. So I actually found out, I thought for a minute that I was like a Virgo sun and moon sign, but I'm actually an Aries in Aries moon, and which makes a lot of sense, because like that's like joyful and playful. And uh, I think it's extremely important to not take things too seriously. And I think for all the parents here, it's like we can learn so much from watching kids. Watch kids just like move their body without any limitations, without any judgment. They're smiling, they fall, they get back up, they hang on a bar, they like jump in the bushes. Like there's no fear. They're just doing it. And yeah, playing is so and there's a great quote, but I can't, I don't even want to say it because I'll butcher it, but it's basically saying like the day we stop playing is the day we stop living. Like that's really when this human experience becomes less meaningful and enjoyable. And if you do have kids, how can you play with them? What's a sport that you enjoyed when you were younger? How could you integrate that more into your life? Or maybe it's an instrument, or maybe it's something that you're curious about. I think we just need to chase our curiosities and pursue them a little deeper.
Wow. And today I was listening to my friend Natalie Jill. She was talking about how as we're getting older, that it isn't about the fakeness of, going and getting Botox or all these things that we think are going to keep us young. Because if you don't have that thriving energy inside, you still seem old. And so she said she was like really viewing people, and the people really did nothing except get out there and surf and play and enjoy their music, and like they were doing young things, they were living and playing. They seemed so vibrant and young, and it had nothing to do with getting fillers in your face or Botox or whatever we think it is.
Right.
And so just speaking to that whole thing with play, but I also think with play that it makes us more creative. It brings us to life.
100%. And I love what you said about that. And honestly, like the for any woman who's gotten surgery or anything like that, like no
There's no
judgment.
no
Yeah, like
judgment
no
there.
judgment
Yeah,
whatsoever. Like
it makes you
I
feel
have
better.
yeah, like I have so many friends like who have, and it again, it comes back to intention. Like, are you doing it for you, right? Or are you doing it to please somebody else? And I think, you know, hopefully you're doing it for the right reason. Um, but yeah, going back to play, like you said, I mean, I think it's such a critical aspect. Are you familiar with the blue zone study, Linda?
No, tell me about it.
So the blues, real quick, but basically, I encourage everyone to look at the blue zone study, and this is basically it's Ben Liedel and Dan Buettner, these two really awesome guys who spearheaded it. But basically, they found the five civilizations in the world today
Oh, wow, this sounds fascinating.
that are living the longest, but also living the most fulfilling, meaningful life, right? And they found like these communities. I mean, I'm not gonna get all of them. One's somewhere in California. One is Sardinia, Italy. One is Okinawa, Japan. One is in Greece, and another I can't remember where the fifth is. Um, but again, play is one of the common themes, not exercise, right? Not like structured exercise, but movement, moving throughout the day. And then also a couple more that are really that are common threads between these five communities are most of them, like a majority of their diet is like plant-based. They're eating pretty natural, nutrient dense foods. Community is huge. And then also a sense of purpose. Most of these people don't retire because they're doing what they love, and they want to continue pursuing uh, pursuing that, and forever chasing their dreams, right? So
Right.
um I think it really hits it home because play is so important. And what you said about creativity, it actually does boost your creativity simply by going on a 10-minute walk. A Stanford study in 2017 found that it boosts your creativity by up to 60%. And that's why I don't think it's a coincidence that you literally see like the most innovative people in the world: Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, former presidents, Clinton, Obama. Like, these guys are always walking during their meetings. And I think that's something easy we can implement, right? Is like, if you have a call, go outside for a walk,
Right.
or maybe take your dog on an extra walk, and use every moment as an opportunity to improve in some capacity. Um, and
Is that
yeah,
kind of how you came up with stand up to sitting?
for sure, for sure. So you can see, I stand up to sitting. is something for me that like got really triggered because I remember it very distinctly. I was like walking in like the downtown area of Miami, and I was going to meet with a potential corporate client because I work with some businesses to improve their company's wellness, right? And I just remember seeing everyone so sedentary in their cubicles, uh, slouched, their spines completely being distorted, and more so than their body being stagnant, their mind is being stagnant. Their creativity is being stagnant. So stand up to sitting is really a movement about how can I implement more movement into my day to day, not just a structured hour workout, but what are some alternative postures I can implement while I'm working? And then with that being said, what are some other ways of being? What are some other habits I can adopt that might not be comfortable? Maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe it is, getting blue light blocking glasses. Maybe it's putting your phone on airplane mode at 9 p.m. every night so you're able to disconnect properly. It's all of these pattern interrupts that allow you to elevate your life in some capacity. And it's really like you said, touching on it earlier, like making each moment a miracle, like not taking it for granted, and seeing how you can use that moment to further grow and expand.
I love that so much. Oh, goodness. So many good nuggets today. So much. I have loved connecting with you. I feel like in so much alignment on so many things. Every time you said something, it triggered a million thoughts.
Amazing.
So,
Well, a million's a lot, and it's important. Yeah, it's a great place to finish. Like, think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about. um if I was going to ask you a question, but I can save it for when you come on my show.
okay. Woo.
Yeah.
Suspense. I
Suspense.
was going to say when you were talking about the getting up and walking, I have to say, I wrote my book, the first one, The Sisterhood of Sweat, while running. I would just get so fired up on my runs all the time. And all the messages just come to me like my Let It Rip Fridays they just come to me like while I'm running, and I would just speak into my phone and my notes. And so today I was just like, oh, I've got to download a recorder because it's morning after I've worked out that I'm in flow,
Mm,
and all of the vibrance and the energy and the positivity is just flowing. That's the best time to be recording these. And so I just let it rip for about 12 minutes and I said, that's it. I'm doing this from now on.
that's amazing. And I think that's a really important takeaway for people too, is like when you're structuring your day, right? Like understand that your creativity or your energy, like maybe it's the time you work out, like there it's all about awareness and becoming aware. Like you said, Linda, like you felt super energized and inspired after you go on these runs. So we all have different times of the day where we're most effective, right? And it's important to like use that time and preserve that time. And again, I'm a huge fan of like 2 hour uninterrupted time blocks, right? Where you put your phone on airplane mode and you just get into that deep work where like you're able to fully focus on you and whatever it is you want to create.
So good today. Wow, you are just like the Energizer bunny. I hate to use bunny for a guy, but you just
I'll take
definitely
it. Hey,
like
I'm
a
all
power
good with
pack.
that.
Yeah, so everybody make sure you plug in and go listen to Jeremy's podcast, The Energy Exchange, so you can get plugged in, and we will meet again. And I'll let you guys know when I'm on Jeremy's show.
For sure. Yeah. Linda, I really appreciate you. Yeah. Everyone listening, it would mean the world if you checked out the podcast. Linda will be on it in the very near future. You can connect with me too via social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Coach Jeremy 305 on all those platforms. And I just want to acknowledge you, Linda, for everything that you've overcome, and I'm excited to continue getting to know you because I only know the maybe 1% of it. Um, but the fact that you've overcome all of that adversity and made it here and sharing your story vulnerably, authentically, I think is so admirable. And I think so many men and women can learn from you and use you as a source of inspiration.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I truly, truly enjoyed every minute today. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the Sisterhood of Sweat.